Hey everyone, Farm Girl here. We are on our way to see a sex therapist. No, not for us, for you, if you're interested in that kind of thing. But we're gonna go see Dr. Ralph Fox out of Wilmington, North Carolina, and we're gonna ask him some questions. We think it'll be really interesting. So come with us.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, Ralph.
Come on in.
Thank
Good to
you.
see you.
Good to see you. So here we are with our friend Ralph Fox, Dr. Ralph Fox. He is a sex therapist, and we are ready to put some questions to him and see what he can tell us. Maybe he can learn us something. So first, exactly what is your profession?
I'm a licensed professional counselor. I've got about 35 years of experience, and one of the interesting things about my profession is that most therapists don't have training in human sexuality, which is just a really oddest thing in my mind.
Since everything leads back to that.
It's kind of why we get together in the first place.
Exactly.
Right? No couple ever hooked up and said, let's not have sex.
Exactly.
So I went back to school, got some training as a sex therapist, and became certified, years ago now. And
Nice.
love doing it because sex makes people talk.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So what I like about working with people on sexual issues is it creates intimacy. It makes people closer.
Communication. And,
Exactly.
Yeah, sharing.
Exactly. Do you like this? Do you like that? Oh, don't ever do that with me. I always like this or not.
Right.
So it's really kind of fun.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right, so how about your educational background?
Oh gosh. Undergrad, 2 master's degrees,
Wow.
PhD. Now I teach online in a counseling program and done that for about 10 years. And I supervise young therapists in training. Sometimes they're not so young.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes I'm working with people who are in their second or third career.
So kind of like a residency?
Yeah,
type thing?
they're trying to learn how to do therapy, so I supervise that and watch the light bulbs come on when they go,
Yeah.
oh my God, I didn't understand that before.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. Cool. Well, so when should people see a sex therapist?
Here's what I always tell somebody. If you're thinking maybe I ought to go to therapy, you ought to be going to therapy.
if that light bulb goes on at all.
And people are on their way to see someone like me for between 2 and 20 years.
Oh yeah.
And it's sort of like if you tore your rotator cuff and you wait 5 years to go get it repaired, the muscles will have atrophied and the repair won't be as good.
Right.
If you wait a long time to come see someone like me, then the outcome isn't probably going to be as
You're
good.
just going to kick yourself for
Yeah.
not doing it earlier.
So, and the nice thing about sex therapy is it's usually brief. People come in with very specific problems. Sometimes these days very specific problems because these days we have the internet.
Oh yeah.
And so people can look up stuff and never ever need to come see me.
They can just diagnose themselves.
Yeah, well, and not only that, but figure out the cure for the problem.
Right.
Where I usually get involved is with complicated stuff. Multiple issues are coming together in complicated ways, and then I can kind of like help them get some insight and then plan a course of action that'll help them move past the problem.
Right. So what are some of the benefits that you've seen with people that you've helped in the past?
Gosh, at the end of the day, it's about 2 people connecting and saving a relationship. But I often find that couples spend a lot of years, they get together in their 20s, they have children, they get into their 50s, and all of a sudden they realize they're going to live for another 30 years. And they don't want to just put up with a mediocre sex life. And they often go, I can either see someone else, leave this person, or
look at their options.
Yeah, figure out a way to make this thing work. So when you've got a huge investment in time with another person, it's certainly worth going to therapy and saying, can I make this all that I would want it to be?
Right.
And if I can't, at least we'll have some closure and say, this is why we aren't going to be together.
And at least we tried.
And at least we tried.
Yeah.
A tip of the hat.
Yes.
That's what you can tell your mother.
Nice. So, what are some of the obstacles that keep people from seeking therapy?
I think probably the biggest thing that keeps people from therapy is they feel like it's going to take too much time and cost too much money.
Yeah.
And they want a little pill that's going to make everything better.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't even work well for depression. There are little pills you can take that make you feel better, but if you're depressed about something real,
Mm-hmm.
then the pill isn't going to deal with the fact that, you know, you just lost your mother, your dog died, your husband's leaving you.
Kind of need to talk to somebody about
Exactly, and process it and make the past in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And in the same sort of way, it's like, okay, you can get a divorce and pay 2 attorneys $200 an hour to help you get divorced, and spend, in one case I worked with recently, $70,000, and they still didn't have a property settlement.
Wow.
Right? That's a lot of money.
That is a lot of money.
And yet people will go, wow, I'm paying $400 an hour for 2 attorneys, or, you know, $150 an hour to work with a sex therapist and actually fix the problem.
Right.
So,
and for 2 hours.
Well,
or 4 hours or whatever. It's
exactly.
going to be way less.
And like I said, sex therapy is usually very directed. Unless there are deeper issues, like I was sexually abused as a child and I've been dealing with that for years. If you run into something like that, we're probably going to spend more time.
Mm-hmm.
But if that's not the
But they can be
case,
helped.
yeah, but you can be helped.
Yeah.
And deal with the problem you should have dealt with anyway.
Right. And if you don't, then you're just going to always have the problems.
Well,
It
and
just
then you're going to
perpetuates.
spend a couple of years getting divorced, a couple of years finding someone new, and then you'll be right back where you need to be in an office like mine dealing with your problems, because that pre-existing problem isn't going to go away just because you kicked a partner to the curb.
Right.
Now you'll be dealing with somebody new and the same problems.
Right. We all know that people have problems with like frequency. A lot of times the guy will say, "We never have sex," when really they do have sex.
Yep, absolutely.
Quite frequently.
But probably the biggest reason why people don't have sex is they don't make time for it.
Mm-hmm.
They believe sex ought to be spontaneous. And then when it's not spontaneous, there's something wrong with them. I believe you need to have a time to have sex.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, with men, their testosterone levels are highest in the morning. And yet the biggest thing that I see is with women who go, "I don't want to have sex in the morning. I'm drippy all day." And I'm like, "Wear a panty shield."
Oh, God.
Right? I mean, take a shower, buy a bidet.
Yeah.
There's always a way to work around this stuff.
Right.
But you have to make time. You just can't have sex on the weekends.
Right.
I mean, busy people don't have sex, and we're all busy people.
Yeah, that's true. And then there's the guy who, his wife is trying to get ready for work. She's got 15 minutes to blow dry her hair, and he's coming up behind her, you know, trying to get a little action before she gets out the door.
Right. There's that guy.
Hey, come on now.
So, what are some funny situations or cases that you've had, or something that we would think is funny?
One thing that comes to mind is the gentleman that came to see me who thought his wife was having an affair. And so he shows me, as proof of her affair, a condom wrapper that said Band-Aid. So the poor guy had to have like the tiniest, shortest penis known to man if the condom wrapper said Band-Aid.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one.
Another funny story is the time the guy came to see me who had become great at performing oral sex on women because he felt like he had an abnormally short penis. When we got to discussing it, he was probably an average length gentleman, but he spent a great deal of time becoming a master of oral sex because he thought he was too short.
It's perfect, so then every woman wanted it, right?
And we were pleased with him.
That's great. So so that brings up the question of penis size. I mean, do you get that a lot? Are guys coming in a lot saying that, that's a big deal?
Well, I get it a bunch because it's a thing that men feel. We actually now, for the first time, there is a new procedure that will actually add length and girth to the penis. It's done by a very busy doctor out in Hollywood.
Oh, wow.
He's the only one who's licensed to do it. and it's standing room only.
So it is a big problem.
It is a psychological problem in the sense that people are concerned about it, but most of a woman's nerve endings are in the first third of her vagina. So longer might be aesthetically pleasing or larger,
Right.
but as far as a functional matter, not quite so much. The perception becomes the reality. If someone's insecure and doesn't feel good about how they look or how he looks, it tends to shut down sexuality, and we're right back to a frequency problem because couples aren't having sex.
Right.
And the longer that goes on, the harder it is to restart it.
Right.
But you were sharing something about your friend who works with...
Oh yes, she's doing vaginal rejuvenation at a plastic surgery office in town.
Is that a surgical procedure or...
No, I don't really know exactly what it is, but I think you have like 2 or 3 sessions and everything gets tightened up and lubed up and everything's great again. People that haven't had orgasms in the past are having them now, and just...
Well, see, it's a fairly new thing that people are living longer than they ever have before.
Yeah. So,
once upon a time, by the time you were 50, you'd be dead.
Right.
You know, Jay'd be on his 3rd wife. But with people
And she'd be 17.
with people living longer and, wanting a good sex life,
Right.
we're having to make these kinds of,
Adjustments.
Yes. It's like so many of the men I work with who are hitting 50 are going on testosterone. I mean, even I see men in their 40s who need supplemental testosterone, who benefit from Cialis, never Viagra.
Really?
Never Viagra. That's not the better stuff.
Really?
Viagra is to the PDE5s what cheap whiskey is to great whiskey.
Huh.
It tends to give men blue halos, headaches.
Headaches, yeah.
And it's a short-acting drug. You have to take it it takes an hour to take effect. It's good for 3 hours, and so spontaneity goes right out the window.
Oh, yeah.
So what are you saying is the better one? Or
Cialis.
some of the
Cialis or sildenafil are the better drugs. They're a weekend pill. They're good for about 72 hours.
Oh, wow.
Stuff that I've never heard.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting.
We did a video when we were
Good
down
advice.
when we were down in Mexico. We were looking at Viagra and thinking of playing around
It's
with it.
expensive.
Never did.
Cheaper
Even in Mexico.
Cheaper in Mexico.
Yeah, it is cheaper in Mexico, I
You're
guess.
probably at a tourist spot. They were taking advantage.
Yeah. I bought some Retin-A there.
Did you?
So we were thinking that one reason that people don't come see a sex therapist is that they are nervous about confidentiality, and they don't want to be, out somewhere and see you and be like, hey!
Well, it's kind of like if you're a woman, it's like running into your OBGYN in public.
Right.
The guy's seeing you naked with your feet up in stirrups, and you're like, oh my God, it's my doctor.
Yeah.
If I see people out in public, I don't even know you.
You
might get.
That's so funny because I know people that you have helped before
Oh, cool.
that have told me that, and then when you come in and we're in the same social setting, you just act like you don't even know them, like you're meeting them for the first time.
Well, after all these years, I may have forgotten who they are.
Well,
That's a piece of
I don't know. Yeah.
That's a piece of it.
Yeah.
But I've also worked out of my comfortable home office for a lot of years.
Right.
Because people can come and go. There's no secretary. There's no big sign out front, that says sex therapist.
Yeah.
You just kind of show up like you're a friend of mine coming for coffee.
Exactly. This would make me feel so much more comfortable
Well,
than going
thanks for
into an
saying so.
office. Yeah.
Thanks for saying so.
Yeah. It's a very nice house. Very nice home office.
Thank you.
So if people are feeling like that, like their kids are just getting out of the house, they're not dead yet, but they've been so busy for so many years, they've just kind of gotten away from it, they're just doing the weekend thing. What can spice things up? What kind of simple little tips and tricks?
What I think is a huge piece would be there's a couple of things. One is kiss. People often will just get so busy in the child years, just trying to have sex that they jump right past foreplay.
Right.
The key
we got 5 minutes. Come on, let's go.
The key to good sex is foreplay. Like real estate, it's location, location, location.
Yeah.
Sex is foreplay, foreplay, and foreplay.
Yeah.
Kiss, touch, spend time together. Cleanliness is everything. That'd probably be the second thing I would say. I mean, I hear that a lot.
Yeah.
You know, especially if you work in the trades or something and you come home at the end of the day, you're all hot and sweaty. One huge thing I'm an advocate of
Some
is
girls might like that.
some girls might like that. Fresh sweat is sexy.
Yeah.
Old sweat is not so sexy.
Yeah, you're right.
I'm a huge advocate of a hot tub.
Oh, yeah.
You know, unless you're risking your electronics, you're not going to take your cell phone or your iPad into the hot tub. You're going to be sitting there probably naked, and you're going to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Can we just say like
Have a glass of
private
wine.
hot tubs and like the one in the hotel that I go into?
I kind of meant the ones in the backyard.
Yeah.
You're a very other person.
We have one of those. It just doesn't have any water in it.
Oh, well. We have to address that.
Ralph, why is sex so important? Are there couples who live together blissfully and are partnered up and just don't have sex?
Certainly there are people that get together and don't have sex. Actually, if you think about a bell curve and the whole population, there are people at one end that really don't like sex. Sometimes women or men who've said, I want to have sex to have children, but I've done that now. Then there's a group of people in the middle that can take it or leave it. If something happens and they're not having sex, they're like, yeah, it's okay. And then you got like a group at the other end of the bell curve that really, really want sex. For these people, when the sex stops in a marriage, it becomes a huge issue.
Yeah.
You start seeing infidelities, you start seeing, you know, I'm pushing you to do things that you don't want. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's the end of the spectrum I spend a lot of time with.
Yeah.
One thing I see a lot though, guys, is people who are late in life who haven't been very sexual, and sometimes they'll have a wake-up call with some kind of a medical issue where they go, wow, I'm not going to live forever, and they'll suddenly be appraised. Am I going to have a sexual life, or am I going to just kind of go on down the road and die without it? I remember working with one woman who, her husband almost literally brought her in duct taped and chained together, and he
Sounds kinky.
It was more coercive.
Yeah.
He put her on the corner of the couch, and I noticed he had a pack of cigarettes, and it was so tightly wound that I asked him to go have a smoke, and I said, you know, you guys are fighting about everything. Is there a key issue that bothers you about this relationship you're in? Because it was like clutch time. We had to make something happen. And she shook her finger at the door, and she said, that man, she's like in her late 60s, early 70s, that man is the only man I've ever had sex with, and I worry that I'm missing something.
Oh.
So we worked together for a number of weeks, and she decided that she would stay with him unless George Clooney would come calling. In which case the marriage was over.
You gotta have that little unless.
Yeah, once George Clooney came, she was going to stay with the guy.
That's too
So.
Well, and then there probably are those women who can have this vaginal rejuvenation stuff done, and they actually start enjoying it. Whereas before, they never even knew what they were missing. They were probably always like, what's so great about this sex thing, right?
So do we now need to put a link to vaginal rejuvenation?
Yeah. I don't know. It's out there.
And the doctor in LA that does the
You can
penis
ask me. I'll tell you. I mean, I haven't had it done.
So you know we've had sex because we had kids.
Because Jay's always like, they offered to do it for free, and Jay's like, I like it the way it is. I told my friend that does it, and she's like, seriously? Maybe he doesn't know what he's missing.
Talk to me about the prude problem you were talking about earlier.
Well, unfortunately, America is a very sex-negative country. We're incredibly hung up. Why is it a guy can walk down Riceville Beach with his shirt off and Jennifer can't?
Yeah.
Or,
what's the big deal?
Which plays nicely into our nudity interview with you earlier.
Yeah. And the Germans saw a little clip of me in the pool with my daughter when she was really little, and neither of us had anything on, and I would jump up and put her up on the side and catch her when she jumped in, and Jay said, no, we can't use that to the Germans, and they were like, oh yes. in Germany you can show that, nobody will care, like my German accent.
Yeah.
That's a great German accent.
But yeah, she's just like, it's not a big deal. And
Well, there's a great book done by a colleague of mine called America's War on Sex by a guy named Klein. That we are sex negative. The recent Attorney General that put a sheet over where he was supposed to give interviews. They put a sheet over the national artwork behind him because there were breasts.
no way.
In my home state of Virginia, there's the woman on the state shield that's clothed across here with one breast revealed, which worked fine on the flag. But as soon as they put it on a giant podium behind him, you could see that there was a nipple on the woman on the state flag. People were going, oh my goodness, I saw a nipple.
Yeah.
But
Everybody zeroes in on it. But you know what? That it does like the opposite. It makes it so untouchable and like just taboo because we don't show it.
I think the issue is respect. I think the issue is not being smarmy and
seedy and
seedy and all of that stuff.
You can be classy and be naked at the same time.
Absolutely you can.
What I'm getting here is that a lot of people can really be helped by just going and talking to a therapist. They just need to pick up the phone, make the call, and the therapist is going to put them at ease.
Yeah, it's like they have preconceived notions about what's going to happen, and they don't know.
Right, and they think that they're a freak, like they're the only one with
They
the
think
problem
that they're
they have.
highly unusual or something.
Yeah. Whereas
is that right?
Ralph has probably seen 5 people before me that have my problem.
My favorite word to dislike is abnormal or normal. Normal is what's normal for you.
Yeah.
If you want to have sex 3 times a day and that works for the couple, then great. If you have sex once a week, twice a week, that's great too. But particularly with unusual turn-ons, people will often kind of get jammed up and say, well, something's really wrong with me that I want Jennifer to wear bikinis.
They start feeling like they're seedy or, like they're not.
There's something shameful.
Yeah.
But one of the ways you lose your turn-on is you stop following the string of sex that flows through your whole life. It's like, oh, this is turning me on in my 30s or 40s, and I feel really bad about it. So I don't pursue it, I shut it down, and then you wind up in an office like mine saying, I don't remember what turns me on anymore. I'm just I haven't had sex in a year or 2 or 3, and I really don't want to, and my partner's now with their lover, and that can be game over. So the trick is, before you let your worries keep you from getting therapy, come get some help. There's so much we can fix these days. That's the super cool thing. I mean, sex therapy tends to be rather short in duration as far as numbers of sessions, and you get to keep your clothes on.
Well, Ralph, that brings me to a question that I would consider a fair question. Price. Is money an issue for a lot of people? And I would certainly think it would be worth it no matter what the price if you have a serious problem. But how big a factor is that?
I would say that therapy is a whole lot cheaper than divorce.
Yeah.
When I talk to people that have spent tens of thousands of dollars working out a settlement, trying to split up property.
And all that trauma and tragedy.
And it's less time to work it out than it is to, if sex therapy is going to be brief in duration, if you divorce somebody, that takes a year. Then you're going to spend a couple of years getting your head straight. Then you're going to have to find somebody new. And you'll often find yourself right back where you left off.
Same problems. You're half of the problems.
Right. You're going to take it to
and they're bringing problems.
Right. Right.
Yep. We all got baggage, right?
Mm-hmm. Sometimes I think you could be a therapist, Jen.
Well, I'm being groomed.
You help me. I think we've gotten a bunch of good information. We've gotten some good answers.
Very good information.
And I think we should pick this up again later on down the line.
I think you're right.
And maybe get more in depth. Maybe
So
we
if
could
you're
talk.
interested, send your questions in to Jennifer.
Yeah.
Our next episode might be 50 Shades of Grey, living on the backside of kink in America.
Okay. I'm sold on the idea.
Yeah.
All right. So
Get some good ideas.
if people have questions, they can post them below, and we'll put that in our file for our next video.
Yeah.
That sound
Yeah,
good?
that'd be great.